welcome back to We Bought a Mic, a pop culture ketchup cast. Catching up on some films, some TV, taking it easy, trying to cool down in the Florida heat, currently melting in the studio.
Yeah.
Sipping on some brews. Feeling sore from golf the other day.
Oh, yeah? Still feeling it?
Feeling like it's permanent.
Hey, I mean, remember our first time a week ago?
Yeah. Fucking amateur hour over here, still sore. You got to stretch.
Feeling like
Stretch and take ibuprofen before going.
feeling like the injuries might last me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now. You were onto something generally, Ernie, when you were saying that we are like getting ahead of old age.
Yeah.
So as to make it
Late 20s.
Yeah, so as to make it easier to age. Golf, crossword puzzles,
Podcast.
I don't need. Oh yeah,
I've
podcast.
already. Well,
I don't need anything else.
Yeah, I guess I should go ahead and break the news down the podcast. I am a Republican, guys.
Oh, no. That's
Just trying to get ahead of it.
Early.
Okay, all right.
Welcome to the show. My name's Ernest.
I'm just here for the zip line. My name is Hunter.
And I'm Drew. Thanks for hitting the links with me on my birthday, boys.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. Happy birthday. By the time you're listening to this, like 3 weeks ago.
A little richer after the Nugs win, huh?
Yeah.
Hey,
A little
Hey,
older,
brother.
a little wealthier.
Hey, look at us. Look at us. Hey, for one for the road, fuck Miami.
Dozens of
you might
dollars.
notice we're drinking the expensive stuff on this pod. Make a little
Class.
ultra. This is the ultra variety.
I was going to buy us natties, but actually just with
Not
all
today.
of my copious winnings, I was like, no, let's
You were
get...
going to buy Bud Light, but then you're a Republican.
Yeah, I am a Republican now, and
So
I was
you're
like, is that queer beer? Not in my... Hey, why did the gays get a whole month and the troops only get a day?
Oh,
That's what I'm saying.
One day.
That's what I'm saying.
Just a mere 8
I
hours
think
off
we
of
are
work.
suppressing cis white men in this country, and we have to stop.
Speaking of
So-
cis white men, we got some ketchup. And I want to start off with maybe the most rizzed up cis white man of all time,
Facts.
Mr. Tim Robinson.
Baby grog. Sorry, I didn't know where you were going there.
We're doing a baby Gronk and Livy pod after this.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that
An oral history on like 4 TikToks.
is Baby Gronk like the baby of the year or the baby of the decade?
That's a good one.
If anything,
His head is flat.
Oh man, does any season 3 of I Think You Should Leave? Does any sketch match the best sketches of season 2? Like I'm talking sloppy steaks, / I Can Hold the Baby Now / Dangerous Nights. Like that's like peak for me. The same episode that has Bob Odenkirk, Triples of the Nova.
Season 2, episode 2 is like the funniest 22 minutes of anything that I've ever seen in my entire life. So I don't know. This isn't answering your question in any way whatsoever, but I love this season of I Think You Should Leave because I think that with each concurrent season, the leash has just gotten longer and longer for what Tim can do. And this is going to sound like a bad thing, but I think while watching it, I laughed the least while watching it
The
this
first time.
season than I did for any other season because it's so extremely out there that you're just trying to follow the threads of what this sketch is the first time that you're
trying to lock
it.
in. You're trying to like process.
And you just kind of have to be enveloped by it all. And then as you sit on a sketch and as you think about 55 burgers, 55 shakes, 100 tots,
I'm doing something.
as you think about these things over and over again, you kind of realize like, shit, is this
it's
like
stuck. It's in there.
is this like the best thing that he has done yet?
Yeah.
There are a few sketches that I think are like top 10 all time. I Think You Should Leave sketches. Maybe I would say solidly. I think that 2 from this season like belong in the top 10.
Can I guess? Feed eggs.
That's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Driving crooner.
No.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pay
The
It Forward is a really, really strong normal sketch premise, which to me, my favorite I think you should leave sketches are the ones that start with a really good normal sketch premise.
They seem like they could be an SNL sketch at first.
Yeah. And then they
Keep going.
Yeah. And then they become really, really fucked. And a lot of my favorites have the turn where it turns out that someone else in the sketch is also insane. Which this sketch has, where another lady tries to order the exact same insane order at the drive-thru.
It's so good.
For some reason, that little wrinkle always gets me. Like it happens in the toilet paper sketch in season 1, where like slowly everyone in the room becomes insane, like Tim is. That's a really great one. I think this is. I would say this is the best Tim Heidecker sketch of the 3. That we've had with him. The one from season 2, very forgettable, to be honest. Season 1's is great, where he's the, tiny boop squig shorterly, that guy.
Jazz guy.
Yeah. But that's another really good. Tim loves very simple things. He likes commercials. Tim Robinson. He thinks commercials are really funny. And when a commercial just stops being a commercial,
when it's a guy talking about like how something screwed him over, and he just has a quest.
Tim loves it when someone has been fucked over by a product.
For 50 seconds, I thought there was monsters on the world.
That's what I was gonna say. Or when the product is because of the most insane thing that you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah, the
Darmine doggy door.
Yeah. Which that guy is definitely the Carber reputation vacuum guy.
Yeah.
In my headcanon, that's the same character.
Yeah.
Who therefore is also the same guy from the first sketch of season 2, the hot dog guy, because that guy goes on to make the Carber vac.
The guy who's trying to eat a hot dog from his sleeve.
Yeah, because you can't skip lunch.
Yeah, right. And then he makes the
lunch.
reputation vacuum for getting a hot dog sucked out of you. And now I think he's made the Darmine doggy door because of something else that happened to him.
I will say, I think that this is also, he wasn't in season 2, I don't believe, but this, the Will Forte sketch, Sidewalk in this one good. Is better than the season
That's
1
in my,
Will Forte
yeah,
sketch.
That's easily in my top 5 of the season. I think it might be my favorite cameos of the season because Will Forte, his SNL and like beyond writing partner John Solomon is a co-creator of I Think You Should Leave and co-writes like every single sketch. And Will Forte more or less like invented this type of sketch comedy in a lot of ways. Like the sketch comedy of just hammering one button until it becomes complete nonsense. That's what Will did for like 5 years straight on SNL at like 12:58 p.m. or a.m. And that's a great sketch because he's being his own character. There are some cameos this season where I feel like they're doing a Tim.
Yeah.
And they don't need to.
Even like Sam Richardson with the sumo engagement courtyard.
That's such a good sketch though.
Pacific Park Proposal.
I know, but there's like a cadence. There's like a verbal pattern.
Yeah, and it's hard not to, especially if you're, I'm sure that with the way they produce the show now, like there's a set of sketches written and like maybe
anyone can plug in.
Yeah, maybe. I think the worst example this season is Fred. I don't think that was a Fred character.
One of the weaker ones.
That's just not a Fred character. If had that been Tim Robinson, it would have been a funnier sketch.
Yeah. Also, you could tell that wasn't a little kid in the video.
Everybody can tell
that would have been real. The whole thing would have been saved if it just wasn't an old man.
See, that should be a funnier sketch because it's just another guy getting scammed by a really stupid business.
Going off of that point, I think Tim Meadows is a little bit of that in his sketch.
Yeah.
I love Tim Meadows and everything that he does. I'm literally always happy to see that guy, so I didn't mind it. But it is him trying to do, and I think you should him trying to do a Tim Robinson impersonation.
I think going back and trying to watch more of these sketches is going to elevate the entire season. I think with season 1 and 2, going back elevated just a couple standouts. Like there were some sketches that became those all-time sketches. I think that more so than 1 and 2, this entire season is going to be improved. I think the number of sketches that are, quote unquote, like skippable are few. I think that this is a much more kind of thorough, complete season where I don't think it really dragged too much. Like maybe the Fred sketch, maybe another one here and there, but the whole thing felt like very well thought out.
It's also it's like 100 gex, like the new 100 gex album, in a way where it's like you can not like it, but you can't say it drags,
right?
Because it's moving so fast.
All the fat's been trimmed.
It's just going like
it's an Ozempic album is what you're saying.
So the way that I like the lens that I had to watch this whole season through is like the Tammy Craps sketch from season 2, where that sketch I really love that sketch, but the reason that it didn't have like some sort of like lasting like meme or like cultural impact is because it's a lot. There's so many different ideas in that sketch and
peaks and valleys.
It's just like, okay, so it starts and they introduce this doll that farts or poops. Mm-hmm. And then they immediately after that introduce the idea that don't worry because there are no longer farts inside the head of this doll because they fired the factory worker. And then they introduce the idea that you have to be a certain weight in order to play with the doll. And then on top of that, they introduce Macanudo's cigars for some reason, like
which ties into the cigars screenshots on the phone in the Will Forte sketch,
which is so dude that sketch. But that's a good example where like it starts with like a pretty good funny sketch premise is like a guy's ponytail is like stuck under a car
because he had to walk underneath it because they parked
on the sidewalk. They parked on the sidewalk.
That's a really good sketch. And then it becomes about the cigar thing out of absolutely nowhere. And then there's this other guy. Yeah, and then the photo, and then there's this other guy across the street with a ponytail, and Will's like, fuck off.
And then he puts his hand in dog shit.
Yeah, it is so great. Like there are just so many separate but still funny things happening that like the first time you watch it, you're just not gonna suck it all in. Like you have to give it a few pass throughs.
I think that's similar to that. It's funny. That particular sketch doesn't have Tim Robinson in it, but I do feel like a lot of the ones that kind of get better and better as time goes on are ones where Tim plays the straight man. Like I'm thinking one of my other favorites of this season is the Tasty Time vids, which the best use of Connor O'Malley in this show. I think that this is the final sketch of the season.
It is.
I love that sketch. I love like everything that's going on there. The Heart Monitor sketch with Tim Heidecker. That's another one that he is playing like a straight man in that one. The children's choir with our boy Biff Whiff. Mm-hmm. He's just a guy and he just finds his shirt brother, which
that's the one with the Turnstile song too.
Yeah, that is have a Turnstile song.
Yeah.
I think that like this is just one of those shows that you kind of have to just keep watching it over.
Biff Whiff.
Man.
Good on him.
Hope he makes it.
He does a good job.
Okay.
He popped up in Jury Duty, which I'll talk about later.
Let's go.
We got to shout out Jason Schwartzman.
Oh yeah, and the kids talking about his kids.
Yeah, he keeps talking about his kids.
Oh man.
Also, talk about another sketch with layers that then also Tim is like going insane because
Everyone
the other guys at the party want to do whatever wacky thing he's gonna do.
Yeah,
next. Come on, you can't do that. Stop doing it. Nothing with the dog. Nothing else with the dog.
That might actually be in my top 2 of the whole season because it kept going. It sort of reminds me of the Ghost tour where it's a lot more slow burn and it's like paced out, like it goes beat by beat. But oh my god, it's funny. All the guys following them around is like unbelievable.
It's so good.
And Jason Schwartzman's like his dread every time he feels the need to bring up his children because he just knows that this guy's gonna. Fucking
that is like a better version of the sketch from season 2, which is funny, but like of the sketch where the guy keeps asking questions about why they're late to the party and about their babysitter. It's just like, well, like they hit somebody, but like they don't matter. Like they're like not a person.
You're right. It is. It has a lot of that, and then it has a lot of you got to give in terms of its structure.
You got to give. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see if I think. We should try to maybe schedule structure a whole episode around this, but what an entire I think you should leave Hall of Fame might look like.
Oh, like a
maybe
10 sketch.
Yeah, maybe we could try to do. Maybe we could do a draft. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
We need to do a draft.
We did that for season 2. We did a draft,
but it was only for season 2.
Yeah,
I'm thinking the entire show.
I would gladly. I need to watch this season probably 2 more times.
Right.
Yeah.
We only saw it the one. Did you watch it again?
I've watched a few sketches.
clips on Twitter.
I've watched my favorite sketches again.
Yeah.
I've watched the season twice, but season 1 and 2 are like on a constant loop in my house. So it's still, it needs more time to marinate.
Those are part of the DNA at this point. Yeah. This one, I'm sure this one will get there too.
It will. The egg game is unbelievable.
That one already.
He's got a bush.
The Severance memes all got me.
Yeah, that one, the zipline sketch we haven't mentioned yet. The zipline sketch really got me because I love on shows like The Bachelor when a guy's about to get eliminated and he starts just throwing everyone under the bus.
Yeah.
And just saying things that like on the record are false. But this guy's big lie is like
He's only there for the zipline.
He's there for the wrong reason.
And he's
there
like,
for the
oh man.
he's wearing like the long sleeve wetsuit.
So good.
There's a lot more of Tim just being like goofy in this season.
Which we love to see.
Another one, just because I'm seeing on this list of them written out that I fucking love, and it played even better the second time, is the sketch where he plays a silent performer, it's everybody's job to make him say something, and every time he says something, he has to pay an extra $1. It's so and like fucking good. And don't come here as a joke. Don't come here to try and make me talk.
It's mostly bachelor parties.
That's a great one because it is a normal sketch, like in terms of structure. It's just like insane. Like it's not like there are a ton of layers on it. Like it follows one line of logic from the beginning to the end. But that like to invent that line of logic that like, oh well, this makes it so that like only frat bros and bachelorette parties go see this silent actor. And the only thing that anyone says to him to make him talk is just like, what's that? What are you doing?
Like, it's a chair. It's a chair.
They're not saying anything beyond that. They're all just like, what is that?
It's just like clarifying questions.
Yeah, they're just screaming, what is that? Until he gets mad. And then $1 gets added. That's so funny.
It's so good.
And there's a counter. So like that is.
It's just one of those things where like I watched this show with Lee and it just does not click with her at all. Like, and to have to explain why something's funny, you just have to, it either clicks or it doesn't, you know? And it's not like it's one of those things where we've gotten to the point where comedy is so subjective that it's just going to find its audience. And if you're not part of that audience, like that's fine. Which makes me wonder, like, I hear a lot of people talk about this show, like it catches on really easily and the memes are out of control. But is this one of Netflix like more popular show? It can't be.
No,
I don't think it hits the top 10.
But also the show, what does it cost to make this show? Like
it's
the overhead is nothing.
It's cheap to make, and also I think that like they can't, they can't advertise it as much as most of their other stuff because it's very like R-rated,
right?
Like language wise, like and all that. But they know it's a stealth hit is what you would call it because it plays really well on something like TikTok because out of context you can just take him going like, you sure about that? and that's applicable to anything.
It is funny because my workplace uses Teams and people will send I think you should leave GIFs on Teams and like half of them don't even know what the context of it is. Like a big one is the I'm joking. And like I tried to respond to that and they're like, what are you saying? And I was like, oh,
give me
okay.
Oh man. Well, writer strike is going on. Netflix, one of the big perpetrators. I hope that this sticks around. I hope that this isn't one of the things that gets kind of pushed aside in the shuffle that we're going through right now. I hope that we're able to get a season 4. I'd watch fucking 20 seasons of this shit. Just keep it coming.
I wasn't like worried, but it was one of those things where season 3 came really closely after season 2. And I just had a little bit of like are Are we pushing these out a little bit too fast? And I am happy that
How was it, a year?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I just figured
it's short.
Season 1 to season
like an hour and a
2
half.
was like a 3-year break or something like that. This was like a year and a half later, and we just started going out.
COVID, you know,
Yeah, I guess
who
so.
knows? Yeah, Netflix, pay your writers, pay Tim Robinson, pay his
Please.
people. I wonder how much money they paid John Mulaney. You think he got paid? Baby J?
Do you think that they paid for his rehab?
I mean, what if he already had a deal to film his special for Netflix?
He actually
before
he recently sold a watch to them for cash.
So you had already seen this live. Hunter.
Yes. Yeah, I saw this performed about last November.
So how did the special compare?
So obviously, the vast majority of the content of the vibe, the story, like structure, this for people, this is John Mulaney's newest comedy special, Baby J. And unlike any other normal traditional comedy special, this is more anecdotal about his
Confessional,
end
I
of
would
2021 to early 2022, kind of hitting rock bottom and going to rehab, and just follows that story for like pretty much the entirety of the hour and a half, with a couple tangents to talking about his childhood and shit like that. But for the most part, it is staying along the story arc. And there are, aside from like some jokes, the show that I saw was very, very similar. I will say he cut from this live performance some incredible impersonations of everybody who was at his
he name dropped.
Yeah, he name dropped like everybody who was actually at his intervention.
Well, you didn't sign an NDA, so you can.
Yeah, I can say it because he was talking about Fred Armisen. He did a lot of Fred Armisen bits because Fred was there. A lot of Seth Meyers bits since Seth was there.
I think he did that on Seth.
Natasha Lyonne was there, and he did a
wow.
really nice Natasha Lyonne. It was great. And I think that overall this is an interesting special. This is a very like, it's kind of one of those things that Guy and I were talking a lot about from watching it live and then watching it now in the Netflix special. John Mulaney, I think that one of the things that has made him so special as a comedian is that he has this like everyman quality to him, but everything that he does is so perfectly calculated to maintain that persona.
Until
I
now.
think that, well, until now, but also this is a very smart PR saving move. Like to actually just put it out there.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, maybe that sounds like the cynical
But it's
take
not
to
the
kind of
whole
put it out
story.
like that.
He doesn't talk at all about his new kid.
Yeah, he's not talking about leaving his wife for
He doesn't talk about his wife.
Olivia Munn.
He doesn't talk about his new girl, Olivia Munn. Yep, exactly.
Oh yeah, no, he'll never stop being like the most calculated person when sober. Like he's insanely calculated. I love the special. I think it's easily the best thing he's put out since New in Town. The last two specials I was a little more critical of than a lot of people.
Kid Gorgeous and
which are both
I don't remember what the other one was called.
The Comeback Kid.
Comeback Kid.
Which are those are both awesome specials. Like really, really strong material. It just like it was feeling a little bit stale. Like the act was starting to feel like even more of an act than it is.
Yeah, because he was on crack cocaine.
No, he was sober.
Oh.
Is the thing.
Was he? Do we know?
Yeah, I would imagine, like, because he clearly, like, when he's on cocaine, like, he goes off the fucking rail.
Because I watched some of these Documentary Now episodes he wrote, and I'm like, dude, you got to be high to write.
Did a
this
little
shit.
cocaine tonight. You're talking specifically about the Company episode.
He's like, he's always just been on like Adderall and then like Xanax to go to sleep. But like, as far as like full like coke and shit like
Addict
that goes,
mode.
yeah, that's when he's like feral, Mulaney. But I literally said this when we were talking about his last special, that I wanted more truth. Like I wanted him.
You could feel the facade.
Yeah, I literally said I wanted him to be more real, because like the distance between the John that even, came out every now and then on like, hour 2 of a podcast, that he was on, for example, the gulf between that and what he was portraying on stage was just growing, and it was a bit too far for me,
Sure.
and he had no choice but to shorten that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Here, like quite a bit.
I mean, some of the stories he tells are amazing. You shouted out the watch one. That one was a highlight for me. The whole rehab story with Pete Davidson calling him as Al Pacino.
I love everything involving
there's some great
the
stuff.
doctor that he went to.
Yes.
And,
the 1-star review doctor.
that
in
stuff
an
is all so
apartment.
good. And
And then there's a button at the end where he's like, and those are the things I'm comfortable sharing with you. Where it's just like, oh, so even the things that we think are the raw parts are not as raw as it could get. So it's like it is the calculated thing, but it's also like the darkness is darker.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to act. You're gonna have to open up to some extent now that you don't have a fucking choice. You can't just be like my wife. Like that was starting to piss me the fuck off.
that's kind of what I feel like I don't want to come across too critical whenever seeing this thing, but there's just kind of something with Mulaney, and maybe it's just me being a little bit more cynical. I think that the special as a whole is incredible. I love it. John Mulaney is one of my favorite comedians ever. Love the guy. What I more so mean is just about how carefully calculated a lot of the things that he does are. I think it's funny because he ends the special with reading his interview that he gave to Variety in December of 2021 or whatever it was.
It's giving Lenny Bruce.
No, like, and I
That's what he
remember
used to do.
I remember when that article came out. I'm pretty sure that we like shared it in the group chat. And we're like,
Is he okay?
yeah, I think that we like might have even said something along the lines of just like, that was a weird,
Kind of rambly.
yeah, weird article, weird interview that he's doing. And then you like get the hindsight of
Well,
it,
then there's
where
the
it's-
appearance on Seth where he's
Yeah.
clearly like not doing great.
It's just it's one of
He's
those
left
things
hi-
that you
he's
can
left his
always
wife at
yeah
that
you can
point.
always kind of pick up the seeds after the fact and like put the pieces together. It's like, oh yeah, no
And
shit.
then
Of
rehab.
course he was. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then it goes to rehab. No, I did really love it. I am really happy. I really like. Was it Comeback Kid was the last one, or was that Kid Gorgeous? Was the third special he did? Because it's New in Town, Kid Gorgeous, and Comeback Kid, or am I mixing?
I
up
think
Kid
it's
Gorgeous?
Comeback Kid then Kid Gorgeous.
Okay, I really like Kid Gorgeous. The last special that he just did right before Baby J. I'd probably put those on about the same tier in my head, just because
Yeah, you're right.
I think those first three, especially New in Town, but I think those first three all have kind of a rewatchability to them, which I wouldn't say that about most comedy
Sure.
specials. Like New in Town, we just throw on occasionally at home because that's like one of my favorite
Perfect.
comedy specials ever.
It's
Like
perfect.
it's just a perfect tight hour of stand up. And
I'm
this is
sorry.
something that this special is incredible, but I don't know if I'm gonna like throw this on in the
Yeah.
rotation in the same way because it's just
So-
it is more heavy.
That leads into my take, which is like, I liked watching this, but I don't think I can fully make up my mind about it until I'm a little bit more removed from it. And I can kind of look back on it with a little bit more hindsight and think like, okay, do I feel like revisiting this? Are there any bits that kind of have stayed with me? And I think more importantly, I want to see what else he does.
Yeah.
Is there going to be more documentary now? Is he working on something new? Is there a movie? Is there a show? Like, what's next for him? Because right now, my only question is, was he high during some of my favorite things that he's done? Like the Sack Lunch Bunch. Was he fucking cracked out with those kids? Like, I don't know. That was amazing. What he did with Jake Gyllenhaal, the Music Man, incredible. Maybe a little coked out, you know? And-
Hello on Broadway.
Oh, hello.
Oh, hello, yeah.
Some of my favorite SNL sketches, the lobster sketch and all its, derivatives.
Quick sidebar, just thinking about it, because bringing up Nick Kroll and Oh Hello, another bit that I love from this was talking about like, you're probably wondering if like half of the people who were there were on Zoom. If they love me so much, then why weren't they there? And I brought that up a lot.
and how they brought up and how he liked to brought up that they were addicted to weed.
Yeah. See, well, then you stop drinking. John, that's not what we're here for.
It's not what we're here for, Johnny. So that's the thing is I think you're probably right about a rewatchability factor, but I don't want to grade it on that term. I just, I want to grade it as a comedy special.
I want to grade it on, is he going to be a good father to his kid?
And I think it's better than a lot that I think it's really, really, really strong material because like you said, he's still calculated. It sort of reminds me of the thing where people get offended by what Nathan Fielder does. And it's like, what did you think reality TV was? Like that this is what he's doing. He's doing reality TV to people. Yeah. Like John, no one gets to the top on accident. Every top level comedian or performer is a fucking psycho who has a massive ego and is obsessed with their career. That they don't have time to have any cute little things. John isn't just like some guy who likes going to Best Buy with his wife. Like all he thinks about is himself and his fucking life and his career. And that's really like, I love actually seeing that like that. It wasn't
admitting it.
Yeah.
Owning
it wasn't. Yeah. That's the thing for me, because obviously I knew we were going to get the vulnerability about what happened, but he is willing to admit in this that he has a big fucking ego. Like that he cares a lot about himself. He
constantly returns to it in every bit.
It's the
point of the whole thing.
Well, and it's not he doesn't portray it as like a past thing. There are jokes like that, like present tense talk about like his fucking ego, because they're all fucking freaks. All these people.
I mean, I think that might be a step of the recovery process too. Yeah. They probably talk about that in rehab, how addiction, makes you a selfish person.
Yeah. Well, and also just the fact that like the reason he was able to get away with, in my mind, part of this thing that happened, at least for me after New in Town, the reason that I like it so much better than the specials following, part of it is that he was able to pull that off because no one had ever seen him before. So he was allowed to be like, I'm 28 and I'm just like a guy. I just like watching TV.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really know what he had been up to. When I saw that in high school, I genuinely thought that could be a guy who just like lived like me, who just watched Law and Order. And, little did we know he was actively writing on SNL for like a few years. And, he had been doing that since like right out of college, and he has like a zillionaire fucking dad. And he always skirts around all these little details that belie his childhood wealth, and and all the little he never likes talking about the fact that he auditioned and almost starred in Home Alone when he was a child.
What?
Why? Because that's not an everyman thing. That's something that a boy with a lot of opportunities in front of him does.
Man, I wonder if in the Flash universe the star of Home Alone is John Mulaney. That's not a segue. We'll get to that later.
Both of the goons are Ezra Miller. But yeah, it's just like it was just time to get real. I felt like I had learned too much about him, and he was still doing such a job tap dancing around the fact that he has lived an unbelievably blessed life, and because of that is able to have he has an otherworldly fucking talent. Like he is in another universe when it comes to writing jokes. Right. Like it's fucking unimpeachable. But that has to combine with
right. Amphetamines or not. There is some talent there.
But that also that's not there are some people that have that, but they don't have generational wealth and opportunities and doors open for them. Like he was allowed to go to Georgetown because his dad was like on the board at Georgetown. He mentions that's one of the only slips he has in one of his older specials of his like
the extreme privilege.
Does he say that in a special?
I don't think
no, it's not a special. It's well then I guess it's I've heard him say it on a podcast before then. But yeah, no, his dad was just like a booster at Georgetown, so he got in. He didn't have great grades.
On Kid Gorgeous, he has the whole bit about paying the school spent it already. I'll spend his tuition money. He didn't fucking pay that. He didn't pay $100,000 admission.
And so like every special has an amount of lying in it because you are giving a certain you can't capture all of what you are in an hour. That's impossible.
Have you, speaking of podcasts, have you seen clips of him on the Theo Von podcast?
Yeah.
This past weekend, it's called.
Yeah. Theo Von is like a huge comedian and podcaster that no one that is in our orbit knows or talks about.
Well, I didn't know about him, but I saw these clips of Mulaney on him, and I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched like a good bit of it, and Mulaney like really opens up on this episode.
Yeah,
it's
and
like
it's funny.
The whole thing's like 2.5 hours.
So
long.
I think that Theo's sober too.
Yeah.
They
get into
but
it.
it's really funny because Theo is known for being like out of his fucking mind, like an insane.
He looks like he's out of his mind.
He looks like he's done too much cocaine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like wildly, like he goes crazy viral on TikTok all the time, just because he's known for just like saying deranged like Southern things. And yeah, John really just gets him to like kind of sit back and like contemplate, and it's John's in a different place now. And
yeah, I hope
like
he's
to see
okay. I mean, that's really my biggest takeaway is like, this is still in the middle of the thing. Like we're not through the woods of this John Mulaney situation. This is just like another step, another part of the process. And I just wish him the best.
Yeah.
It sucks that he got divorced. It sucks that he was, and is an addict. But people can change. I think I'm ready to hold the baby now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what his future holds, but in order to keep doing stand up, this was the only way forward for him, is to he reveals a lot. They're
And
always
he still got it.
Yeah.
that's the because for the majority of his career he's been sober off of at least like hard drugs. Well,
so that's something else he talks about in the podcast that I saw is like, he has always functioned on some level of substances.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about like at what point he recognized it as addictive behavior or not.
Yeah.
Because he's felt like he's always needed drugs to some degree.
Yeah, he's always talked a lot about being an Adderall and cigarettes guy for energy and focus. Right. And then like in
Which brother aren't we all?
I know.
Exactly.
And then in New in Town he talks about Xanax.
Right.
So yeah, it's, and then obviously it crosses a barrier when you're like,
well, he said
getting naked for some guy in his apartment.
Oh, really? Shit.
That's where the line's drawn.
Well, he talks about how like he tells Theo that like when you wake up in the morning and your first thought is I gotta get more of that, that's when you're like, okay,
yeah,
something's got to change.
There definitely is like something. I think that is out of everything that was in the special, the stuff that resonated the most is him talking about like full addiction behavior, like addiction is something that affects the way that you look at life, the way that you perceive everything. Whenever there's one thing that he says that's like almost like resonated with me that I always think of, like whenever you are a cocaine addict, every surface you see is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. Like you just see the fucking fold out spot in the bathroom where you're supposed to change your baby's diaper, and you're like, no, that's you do cocaine off of that thing. Like, and it's him talking about the mindset behavior. That is the stuff that is like the most pure about this special that I think is what makes it unique and makes it work.
No, exactly. He's
more than the stories or anything.
Well, because
that's the stuff that feels the most real. It feels the most genuine.
Yeah, exactly. These are observations, because if you see the world through the lens of like jokes, like someone like that does, like those are probably jokes he's had like in the can for years.
Well, the jokes that you're making as you're actively doing cocaine on a baby changing station, to yourself.
But until now, that joke has not been for a Mulaney persona.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like not even close.
And that's why, like, it's a very common thing.
So you're saying we're in an uncharted, like the possibilities are endless.
I'm just saying this special, and especially things like that where he's talking about like general thoughts on like addiction and crazy stuff like that, is like, I bet you he's had shit in the can for years.
Mhm.
And this is why a lot of comedians just swap jokes, because they'll be like, well, I just thought of this joke because my brain just does, but this isn't a me. It's not a me joke. It's a you joke. Like, I'm sure he's had a bunch of this shit.
You know, and for that token, maybe this is kind of, it's hard to say this is the best thing to happen to him, like, as a comedian. But I think that, like, so many comedians do kind of get pigeonholed that if you are Jerry Seinfeld, you have to tell Seinfeld jokes for the rest of your life. And this does kind of give him a new lane that he can go down here that otherwise wouldn't have been available to him.
And it's not skipping steps, because I have famously been just a little bit upset with some of my favorite alternative comedians, because their first 1 hour,
Louis C.K. mostly, right? Yeah,
no,
just for the personal.
Because their first big 1 hour special it'll feel like a fucking career retrospective where it's like them visiting their hometown and shit, and then like a half hour of jokes. And it's like, give me an hour and then do that. Like, come on now. Like,
it had to be like,
look
made
back.
it big, mom. Look at me now.
yeah. And Mulaney's he had his first thing was just the recorded audio album in 2008, which is incredible material. He talks way too slow on it because he was mimicking his what's it called? He was the protege of Mike Birbiglia.
Mm-hmm.
That's who he was mimicking.
Hey, he's got a new special coming this year.
But it's unreal material. Like, that's one of Mulaney's most famous bits is the "What's New Pussycat" bit, and there's no video of him ever doing that. That's
It's just
crazy.
audio.
Yeah, that's nuts. So he's given us 4 great hours of stand up, and now 5. Like, this is a really, really great album of stand up, and it's personal. Like,
the most personal, probably.
I don't want to underrate what he's done, like, career-wise, just as a stand-up, isolating it from all the other insane shit that he's done. Like, it's so fucking impressive. He's a machine.
That's facts.
Yeah.
That's facts.
Facts.
All right. So that's John Mulaney, Baby J. I want to hit some rapid fire TV recommends here. Okay. So I have a little list here. We're going to get to movies in a second. But, you know, we just talked for a long time about
what's on the small screen.
I think you should leave and John Mulaney. So this has to be quick fire. So a couple things I've been watching. Mrs. Maisel, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, final season.
Still going on
Prime Video. Was not a huge fan of season 4. Got hit pretty hard by COVID. Season 5 is the final season. Looks like they are giving it their all. They're leaving it all out on the table. They're going like, all right, this is it. This is the last one. Let's do everything we can to go out on a high note. I haven't finished it yet. I'll report back, but you guys know I love this show. It's been on my top 10 list at least once in its run.
I think season 2 was on my top 10. That's my favorite season.
I think this one has a shot to be on that echelon. So we'll see. I really love it. It's one of those shows where, like, just on a visual level, just the sets and the costumes and the production design is just perfection. So we'll see how they end the whole story, how they wrap things up. It seems to be looking really interesting. The other 2 on Max. It's called Max now, guys.
I have thoughts on Max, which I don't know if we want to save that for a later date.
This is a incredible comedy about Hollywood. Have you guys ever watched it? I know you've heard about it, Drew. We've chatted about it.
What are you talking about?
The other 2?
I've seen season 1. The other 2 is an awesome show.
So it's back for season 3.
I know. I'm glad to hear how good it is.
The other 3, huh?
It's so good. It's so good. It's one of the most, like, niche comedies I've seen where they have jokes from, like, I thought I was the only person that would find that funny.
Yeah, they're like media heads. It's Chris Kelly and Sarah Schauer.
Yeah.
For like 1 or 2 very brief years in between Seth Meyers and Colin Jost, they were head writers of SNL. They didn't do the greatest job, but god damn it, they were not Colin Jost. And that's something that the rest of us can, in fact, also say.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, really recommend this 3rd season. I hope it goes on for a 4th. I haven't finished this one either, so I don't know if it like ends, but don't cancel it, Max. This is not an expensive show to make, I don't think, you know.
This is really high on like my things I need to watch. Guy has actually watched, I think, part of season 1, but I have just not
it's hilarious.
Yeah,
also a big fan of Drew Tarver. Good
Yeah,
actor.
love Drew Tarver.
He's he works with Nick and Brad, our Twitter guys, very closely.
Love Drew.
Cool guy.
Okay. Jury Duty.
Let's talk about it a little bit.
Finished it.
Okay.
I was very shaky on it throughout because it seemed very cruel. It seemed like a Nathan bit without Nathan.
Yeah.
You know,
Without that host, that centripetal,
without someone to
orbit to have in the center.
Nathan gives you someone to like viscerally dislike,
Exactly.
and that's why he's my favorite guy.
It seemed like the balance was completely thrown off. So this is on FreeVee, which you can access through Prime. I think if you watch Jury Duty through Prime, there's no ads.
So I heard that Baby Grunk just rizzed up FreeVee.
It did.
Is that true?
It did. Yes.
Does that affect the price?
No, Baby Diggs got an official sponsor spot.
Oh, okay.
So there's
Livy is now only available on FreeVee.
so the premise is a case where every single person is an actor except for one guy
And
as part of the jury. And I think that's an incredible premise. And I think what really turned it around for me is the final episode, because it's an 8-episode season. The 7th episode ends with the guy being told, what's really going on. And then the 8th episode is sort of a peek behind the curtain at how the show was made.
That's really cool.
And
that's such a good idea.
That's really kind of what made it work for me, because up until that point, I was like, this guy is so nice.
So that's what I wanted to say. It seems
are being mean to
from like every single clip that I've seen, and I've seen a good amount, it seems like they just happen to pick a really solid guy.
Yeah.
Like just a guy who's a good human being and not stupid either. But like he's smart enough to know that something weird is going on, but not
he
obviously
goes with it.
Yeah, but
Otherwise there'd be no show.
Well, yeah, but and also who would be willing to guess that like all of this is going on?
Right.
He's like, what is up here? But like,
he knows he's on a show.
Yeah,
But he doesn't know it. It's the Nathan playbook where there be a Craigslist
Let people
ad.
play it up to the camera because they know that they're on TV.
Yeah.
Well,
So have you seen, to your point about cruelty, in an interview, he was saying that after the show like totally wrapped, he was like completely shaken and he like didn't.
I'm fucking sure.
Yeah, he was
dude.
feeling paranoid. He was like, "Are they gone?"
Oh
Like,
my god!
and so he was.
Oh my God, it's like Survivor when people come home and they're like, all my loved ones are also trying to
And this is a
backstab
guy.
me.
This is a guy who, for the most part, has been very willing to like do press stuff for the show. But this is like this.
See, I don't like that.
I know, but so the thing is, this is like mid like podcast. Maybe a half hour in or whatever. And he was doing it to illustrate how good of a guy James Marsden is, because James Marsden plays James Marsden.
He's really good in the show.
Yeah, he plays James Marsden in the show.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool, like, imagine.
It works really
Imagine
well.
you're like a B- lister and like your agent pitches you that, like, and you say yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Hey man, Westworld did not work out.
Yeah, they're like,
It's like it's either this or Sonic.
are they
3.
paying me literally anything? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then I'll take
This
it.
guy's like, what is going on here? And he's like, doesn't look like anything to me.
But Marsden is so charming. He's really, really effective.
What this guy was saying is that after everything wrapped, he was texting Marsden like, dude, I'm feeling really paranoid right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. And Marsden apparently called him immediately and was like, no. Like, it's totally,
it's done.
yeah, like
You're
it's
good.
done. Yeah. Marsden's solid guy.
Marsden's like a key part of the show. Like they develop a bond. Like they become friends. It's honestly beautiful. It's kind of incredible.
This guy seems
Does
great.
this go? So how many days does this take place over?
I think it's like a week.
Okay.
It's like roughly a week. Yeah.
Okay.
It's the trial is so stupid. It's like this guy like passed out at work. It's like a t-shirt printing business or something. And like the t-shirt printing machine like malfunctioned while he was asleep, and it printed like the wrong thing for like an influencer, and it was like a massive order, and so she got all the shirts all fucked up, and it just like tanked her influencer business because all the shirts were fucked up.
That's what it's about.
It's so stupid.
Well, I guess they couldn't make it
cases
about,
are stupid,
and they couldn't make it a murder trial because then like he would be like Googling it, like, oh, why isn't everyone talking about this murder trial?
But the trial is so low on the list of things of what this show is interested in. Like they'll do these cutaways where they'll interview the jurors about like what is happening in the case. And they immediately, obviously it's a performance. They're not real people, they're actors, but they immediately change the conversation to like something completely different that has nothing to do with the trial.
That's awesome.
And it's like mostly about their relationships with each other.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's this guy who they can't like communicate with their families because it's like a closed jury. So he can't communicate with his girlfriend who's on vacation, and somebody like intercepts an Instagram post of her with a guy on vacation, and that becomes a whole thing. So he's like really self-conscious about his girlfriend with a shirtless guy on Instagram. So it's like things like that. Like he just wants to focus on that and not like the trial.
Did you hear that there's one member of the jury, like, because obviously these are people who have had like, you know, like extra level like background roles in a lot. Or
yes, well, I recognize some of them.
Yeah, like you said, Biff Whiff, right?
Yeah. Well, he's not a juror. He's like, they go to Margaritaville, which is honestly like one of the best episodes of television of the year so far.
That's great.
And he's a guy at Margaritaville that points out this shirt that one of the jurors is wearing that says Jorf.
Shirt brother.
It says Jorf. Yeah, I know.
Oh, shirt brother.
This is Jorf. And then he like points it out to the server, and he's like, that man's an American hero. He can have our table. And they leave, and then somebody else points out the shirt, and then the server comes by, and she's like, apparently, that's a term associated with white supremacy. But it's all made up. It's all fake, which is like another thing I kept thinking about is like, is every single person.
Everything here is thought out just for this one guy.
Yeah. Like, are all the, because if Biff Whiff is there, like, are all the other patrons, like, how did they intercept the Margaritaville? Like, everything is fabricated.
It's really interesting. Well, because I'm assuming that this show went into production before the rehearsal.
Ooh, I don't know.
Because it feels, what you're describing feels like something that would be born out of something like the rehearsal. Because watching the rehearsal, I was like, I've never seen anything like this in my
trivia,
life.
It's the trivia bar.
But that's exactly what I mean, is like, if eventually it does reach that point of like, where is the line? Where does this stop? Is everything in your life?
It's literally the trivia bar.
Well, Nathan had been fucking around in this territory a good amount, and then you know, also some other people like Sacha Baron Cohen, but really like Nathan,
sure.
But like Sacha. You know, like The Hero. There's some of that. Smokers Allowed.
Yeah.
Well, Smokers Allowed is like the.
I guess this is the inverse of the trivia bar, because the whole thing here is that like
he doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Right. So at the trivia bar, he's rehearsing to interact with real people.
It's only one person who is like not a hired actor.
The variable in the experiment is inverted. But that's really what this is. This is an experiment. This is a social experiment. And they are able to script things out, but they don't know what Ronald is gonna say.
Well, so this is what I was gonna say earlier, is that one of the members of the jury was supposed to have a much bigger part in the season, but this guy mentioned that one of his favorite movies was a certain movie that this guy had a bit part in. Yeah. And so the second that he said that, they moved this guy to the fucking outskirts of the jury. They made him stop interacting with the guy. Yeah, it's so that would be so sad if you were like a fledgling actor who had a big part in a show.
You're like, I'm a big fan of Michael Mann's Miami Vice, and they're like, shit.
So
damn it.
To your point, Ernest, though, I think it's really, really interesting that this show has benefited so much from TikTok. There's a New York Times article about it called "Their Show Flew Under the Radar. TikTok Blew It Up."
What are the clips on TikTok look like?
That's the thing is it speaks to your point about how this is an experiment because the clips are after the fact clips. They're clips of him talking about the experience.
Oh, so it's entirely tangential content.
Yes, because that's what's
it's
interesting.
Not clips of the show.
No, because it's TikTok, and the whole thing of TikTok is all the context has to be in that one video.
Right, yeah.
So it has to be him talking about what happened and then maybe cutting to what happened. Otherwise, you're just seeing something that looks wacky, but it's not telling you that like he doesn't know and everyone else knows.
Commentary on the thing, right?
So it's been blown up through that. I get a lot of those in like my For You because
that's so fat. I haven't gotten a single one.
Yeah,
shit. I gotta get. Do I have to follow?
Well,
FreeVee?
you're talking about it right now, so now you will exclusively get that
because you mostly you're just getting like 13-year-old girls.
Honestly, a lot of like political spreadsheet guys.
All these Excel wizards out here just. This is like just one of those things that whether or not, because it seems like just as a show, as a television product, you were a little bit more mixed on it overall.
Yeah,
but I'm happy that something like this exists.
I felt like I had to try harder to get through it.
Okay.
But the episodes
I'm
are
definitely
short.
going to watch this. This is high up on my list. It's fascinating that this show did become a phenomenon. Maybe it's just the day and age that we're in. Because this is on, once again, it's on FreeVee. And as much as we love James Marsden here, it's not like James Marsden is pulling people to FreeVee.
We all watched every episode of Westworld.
Yeah, the royal we all did.
We all love you, James. I recommend the show highly. I think it's worth the watch. I think you just, I kind of like spoiled a couple bits here and there. I won't give out any more specifics, but you kind of have to go into it knowing that it might get a little icky. But I think it's worth it. I think by the end, the way it all ties together, I was like, okay, I see the vision. It all clicks.
It also, from what I've seen, it seems like some of the scenarios or some of the things that are more written by writers are a little bit trite, like as comedy. So yeah, I think the interesting thing that I would want to see is toward the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. I kept waiting for it. I was like, all right, let's.
Could you like skip a couple episodes?
I mean, you could just like have it on and just not look at the screen and just let it play out. I wouldn't skip it. I'd like go make a sandwich.
Would you like watch Crown season 3 watching this? You're just like, can I just get to the Princess Diana stuff?
I mean, the episodes are short, so it's not like it's a massive time commitment. These are like half-hour episodes, and
I just fell asleep, but during the time you were saying half hour.
Yeah.
could I watch it on like
1.25?
Yeah,
like, with Temple Run. And
yeah,
for sure.
Okay.
Okay. Little quick last TV recommendations. Dave had its third season. I love Dave, guys. I would love for everyone to see this. There are some things that happen in this season, some cameos that I'm not going to reveal right now that are incredible. If you've seen it, it's on Hulu. It's on FX. Love the show. I hate to admit it.
I know,
but Lil Dicky is fucking talented.
Yeah,
I
know this is going to come up on between you or Danny whenever we do our best of the mid-year pod.
It doesn't. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
But the word genius has been thrown around.
You specifically have said that Lil Dicky is the most important figure in the history of hip hop. So
yes.
It makes sense though, because my issue with Lil Dicky always was like that. It seemed like he was using hip hop as like a means to an end, and this is the end.
This is the end.
No,
he was always trying to get to.
So, and also like I was saying this to Danny, friend of the pod, shout out at my birthday gathering, is that like every single notable TV critic that we respect has written an article called like, all right. All right, Dave is good.
It's so
begrudgingly giving
it's
David's
really
flowers.
Good. Ted Lasso finished up its third season.
Is this a recommendation?
I think it's kind of a disaster.
Wow.
A little bit. There's some things to like here and there, but it just, what happened? What happened?
You know
with
what's
Ted Lasso?
fascinating about season 3 of Ted Lasso? Because I have not watched it. I was just kind of waiting for it. Episode 1, 2 came out, and it was like so just raucously like fuck this that
It's
I
just
was
so all over the place.
figured that I would just give it a bit. What's crazy about season 3 is it seems like everybody who loved season 1 and hated season 2 hates season 3, and everybody who is just like mids on season 1 and loves season 2, like I think you and I, hate season 3. So it seems like they somehow made a product that everyone dislikes.
I wouldn't
don't
go
know
as far as say hate. I just think that like the magic is gone, that something's not quite there yet, or there that used to be there. I found myself like smiling a little bit here and there, you know, little heartstring pulling here and there, a couple tear jerking plot lines throughout the season. But by the end, I was like, this is a mess. This is a belly flop. This did not work. I don't know what happened. I hope they just kind of stop there and figure something else out. I still love everybody involved. I think Brett Goldstein is like one of my new favorite guys coming out of this. I still love Sudeikis. You know, more power to you. You know, run away from all that. Leave it all behind. You know,
get together with Harry Styles.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just kind of a big shrug. Big shrug.
Bummer.
Finally, Mrs. Davis on Peacock. I won't say too much about this. It's the new Damon Lindelof show. I think this is the first time I brought it up on pod, but I think I've told you guys about it before. But
yeah, and everything you've said has only confused me farther.
It's a very confusing show.
What? Damon Lindelof made a very confusing show?
Well, wait till you hear who he's co-collaborating with.
Yeah,
here.
so he's kind of shepherding in a concept from Tara Hernandez, I believe her name is, who worked on The Big Bang Theory and Young Sheldon, made her bones in those writers'
Man,
rooms.
really a match made in heaven, some would
But
say.
I know. I've just been waiting.
This is her idea, and it's about a nun played by Betty Gilpin, who I love from Glow. I'm a Glow guy. You guys know Mark Maron, you know,
You know.
Alison Brie. She's back. She's in the lead role, and she plays a nun going up against this big AI. So it's like timely, you know, with Chat GPT of it all. And she is on a quest to find the Holy Grail. And this is a world where an AI exists, a benevolent AI, an AI that wants to help. And Betty Gilpin is like, no, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't trust you. And the AI is like, no, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you about the Holy Grail and why you need to go find it. So it kind of goes off from there, you know, really crazy, wacky setup. And you see things that are like, so what the fuck? Like, what is happening? What am I watching? How does this connect to anything else? What does this scene have to do with the previous scene? I don't know. But then if you stick with it, which I did because I love Damon Lindelof and I'll fucking watch anything, even if this one tested me, even if this one I, you know, had trouble getting through a little bit, I made it to the end. And again, this was another one that was worth it by the end. I think what it does, as rocky of a season of TV as it is, what it does two incredible things. It tells a story that could only be told right now in a moment where, sure, Damon Lindelof on Peacock, whatever. Here's fucking $100 million. Go make 8 episodes. No notes. You know, it's like a bubble show. They just let them do it. And then it asks these questions about AI as faith, AI as God. It connects these lines that like only Lindelof could, you know, like I know that's him. I know that's him playing around in there and like trying to fit these puzzle pieces together of like, okay, what if there was this AI that controlled everybody's lives and people believed in it in the same way as they believe in a Christian God? What if there was a nun that believed in a Christian God and her faith was not questioned at all? This is not a loss of faith show. This is not a show about a nun fighting to regain her faith. it just kind of makes these connections in a way that no other storyteller would. Only
so, is this an earnest show?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Should we watch it?
I think if you're interested in anything I said, if you're interested in seeing like shit that's like, what the fuck am I watching? This is so weird. Yes. But if not, I think it's not one of Damon's like strongest efforts. Like you could put Leftovers, Watchmen above this, probably Lost above this. It's, I don't think it's going to hold water as like Pantheon Damon.
What about his script to Tomorrowland?
Probably better than Tomorrowland.
Okay, what about The Hunt?
Probably better than The Hunt.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I didn't regret watching it. I found it intriguing. I found it fun. I found it wacky, cartoony, silly.
Oh.
It's just
silly.
weird.
Damon gets silly?
It's weird, man.
Well,
Leftovers
those
is
parts,
pretty silly.
Yeah,
it's like the
that is true.
silliest parts of Leftovers kind of blown out to a whole show.
Now that's fun.
Is
And
this? Is it one confined story, or is there going to be a season 2?
It leaves it off in a way where like
It could go either
be
way.
it could be the end. I don't think I'd be interested in a season 2. Honestly, the way it ends, it kind of feels like the end of the story that they were telling. If they do tell a season 2, I'd be really curious to see.
I've never once heard you say I would be happy if there wasn't any more Damon Lindelof, so that doesn't sell me on this
please do something else, Damon.
Literally anything else except for another season of this.
Maybe we'll make another season of fucking Watchmen. That shit just ended. It was so stupid the way it ended. I'll say it.
Come on, man.
I don't give a fuck. That show is I've soured on it a little bit in retrospect.
Okay.
No, let's talk about the Lindelof take on like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I'm sure that if we revisit that, we'll have nothing to say about it.
Yeah, no, that's actually only aged better as years have gone on.
What if cops were superheroes? But they were not good superheroes.
There are some good ones. There are only a couple bad apples who are in the KKK, literally.
Damon
what if
should just go back
superhero
to,
bad cop?
Damon should just is he have any credits whatsoever? Maybe him and Noah Hawley can partner for that alien ship, because as we all three agree, Damon Lindelof was involved in one of the best alien movies ever made. Probably the second best one on the original.
Shut your bitch mouth.
He worked on a Star Wars movie that's probably never going to come out.
Cool.
Well, he's worked on, didn't he work on all 3, or did he just work on the first 2 Star Trek? Oh, no, Star Trek, not Star Wars.
Oh, with JJ?
Yeah.
Oh, he
Did
has
work on
script.
those?
He has script.
Pretty sure he has script credits on those. Who knows what the fuck he did? It might have been like fucking Barry Jenkins on the first season of Leftovers, where he's like, he was in the writer's room. I don't know what he did.
Second season. Speaking of Star Wars movies that'll never come out, let's talk about Star Wars' influences on movies that did come out or are about to come out. The Flash, a movie I saw.
This movie hasn't even come out yet, and I'm tired of it.
How
does that happen?
We're gonna have to talk about it again because you are planning on seeing it, aren't you?
I'm not, but I'm going to be present in a theater when it's playing, I guess. So I guess I'm gonna have to see it.
So we'll talk about it when you see it. But I didn't hate this movie. I thought there was a lot of fun to be had in it, and particularly in the first half. Hate to admit it, Ezra was good.
Ezra's great. Ezra is they are a great actor.
Yeah. And there's 2 of them in this movie. There's 2 Ezras running around, 2 Flashes, and seeing Ezra bounce off of themselves in a double performance, I found a lot of enjoyment in it. So I'm sorry. I hate to admit it. That's if the best part of your movie is a serial abuser, maybe you're not in the best spot.
Well, Marvel can kind of say the same thing, so maybe
they can say the exact same thing.
Actually,
that's a great point.
In the last 2 Marvel movies, in fact,
the best
they
parts
have the same thing going for them. With 2 different people, so
the best parts about the Flash are the humor and the character drama. There's some absurd action sequences early on that set the stage for some really fun stuff that didn't quite kind of deliver. And there's some fun hijinks here and there, some good jokes, good humor. I think this movie really falls apart in its second half towards the end. Drew, I think this would be your least favorite movie of all time. The realms that this movie tries to do. I'm not going to say any specifics right now, but there is some disgusting collision,
disgusting realms
that have like this movie takes what Star Wars did with Luke Skywalker and what Marvel did with No Way Home, and it mushes them together in the worst possible way. And it's so unnecessary, where it's literally just meant for nerds to clap at the screen. One of them did get me. Actually, two of them did get me, but I felt disgusting. I felt dirty.
You felt dirty as you clapped.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll talk about specifics once you get a chance to see it. But no, I'm ready. I'm ready for this movie to be in the rear view. I'm ready to move on. No more Flash.
Yeah.
How what was it like? Well, based on the order that you're releasing this, coming off the fucking high that is Across the Spider-Verse and what storytelling can tell, what's like visual storytelling and storytelling through like some kind of a multiversal tale can do in Spider-Verse, and then going to the low that is the Flash.
Stop hitting. Stop hitting him? He's already down.
How does a million Spider-Men compare to 2 Ezra Miller?
Well, Ezra Miller, he's beating all of them up.
It's not even that. It's
abusing all of the.
It's literally
the Hawaiian.
Like Spider-Verse has the most incredible visual artistry you've ever seen in your life. And then this movie has the most bland.
I can't believe how gray this movie looks. Every time a trailer comes on, it looks so dark and gray.
Well, yeah, but this was like shot in like 1924 or something because of production issues.
It's been delayed.
Yeah, it was a silent film originally.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I have to see this movie this week, and I'm not looking forward to it.
I'm still trying to make up my mind about Michael Keaton because he's a really talented actor. He's good in the movie, but the whole time I'm thinking like, no, I don't need this.
Shoot.
There's also the irony.
What is
of
the
like,
point of this?
He literally, the movie Birdman, which now came out like 9 years ago, was supposed to be like him looking backwards and commentating on this former part of his life. And now because we live in this like hyper oversaturation of superhero genres that we're just like, Michael, throw the cape back on. It feels so wrong. It feels so icky.
Yeah.
Much like cheering for Ezra Miller in any kind of circumstance feels.
I don't think it's the worst movie ever made. I've been through the trenches of Black Adam. I've been through the wars of the hierarchy of power. But this is not a huge notch away.
Is the problem that it's more like mids than anything else? It's more like mids than bad.
Mids.
Yeah.
So
because I'm sure that Ezra Miller is a good actor. Ezra Miller is funny. I'm sure that there's some good
parts one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah, like I think that they are very talented. Yeah, well, I think that's something to give to them. But
you almost, by having two of them, you took away the main issue of him is that he doesn't get along with other people.
Right.
He gets along with himself.
They get along with
now, and now I'm the bad guy.
One of the things that I cannot stop thinking about with The Flash, Ben Affleck as Batman. What are you doing? You clearly don't want to be in this. You clearly want to be in more things like Air.
Have we not talked about Air on this podcast
No.
yet? Oh, Air. A delightful movie.
No more Batman. You're free, Ben. Your new directorial effort. Air.
Are we talking about Air now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I've seen Air twice now.
Oh, nice.
Just like an easy layup show your family movie.
I love how
the easiest movie to show your family of all time.
Yeah. I love how an easy layup of a segue I just did, and you're like, was that a segue?
I know. That's the highest compliment you could pay to a segue.
It's a great movie. I think this movie year hasn't been like maybe the most stacked top shelf movie year. So this movie kind of ends up in that top 5 range. But that's not necessarily, a disservice to it. I think it's a great movie.
It's very like old school movie. This is a movie that could have come out like any time in the last like 25 years, 30 years. And I think that's one of the things that makes it very refreshing. Like walking out of the theater, whenever I watched this with Gaia, our kind of thought was just like, man, that was just a really good fun time at the movies. Like they just really don't make adult dramas anymore. And between this and another movie that we'll talk on a little bit, BlackBerry, it's just like it kind of feels like movies for adults are back. Like after a couple years away, especially in the movie theater, it felt like all of these movies that are made for adults are just kind of going straight to a Netflix or straight to an Amazon Prime or what have you. And they're completely bypassing a theatrical window. And this is just something it's a smart movie without trying to be like over smart. It's not trying to like fucking bend your mind and like do like a Beau is Afraid kind of thing. It's just a very down the middle,
good movie,
likable by everybody, just good all around. Matt Damon, honestly, one of my favorite
really
performances of the year so far. I think that he is excellent in this.
When he talks about Michael Jordan. I could watch that all day.
Goosebumps.
Dude.
It's great. I got goosebumps both times he's giving that
so
speech, which by the way is like. So Benny and Matt do the same thing in this at times that they did in obviously, what's the fuck is the
Good Will Hunting?
Yeah, sorry, that they did in Good Will Hunting, where like their character just like has all the answers because he's the main character, and that's why. And like, too bad for the
similar feel here.
Yeah, very very much just like this guy just knows. He just gets it, and you know why? Because he's the fucking main character. That's why. That's why, you fucking idiot. That said, didn't bug me. I think largely because Damon is super fucking solid in this movie. Like he's just a mega square guy. He's playing the guy he's not playing the guy who founded Nike. He's playing the guy who signed Michael Jordan to Nike.
Right.
Thus founding.
That's literally the entire plot of this movie.
Yeah.
It's so simple. And this movie doesn't complicate itself at all.
You know exactly where it's going.
It's so straightforward. And from the very beginning, you know him as the guy who likes Michael Jordan.
and everyone's like, I don't know, man.
But and you know exactly it is, this is a movie that's gonna play. I'm sure you watch this at home with your parents, right? You show this in there. This seems like a movie that's gonna be played incredibly well at home because you just throw it on and you know where the plot beats are going, and then you just like look up from your phone and you're like, oh damn, Jason Bateman is just giving an incredible scene performance really here. Good, like it's just, he's doing his thing. Viola Davis is now in this movie and is just like
also really good,
batting a fucking 1,000 just right here in these 3 scenes that she's in.
Ben Affleck as an actor in the movie is batting like maybe like 270, like respectable but not great.
Here's the thing.
I think
though, you are disrespecting the fits that he has. I think the fits alone boost his performance like 38%.
Okay, well then let's give some credit to the below the line people who made that happen.
I am.
What about the pedicure artists on his toes?
Yeah, Fuego. It's just his performance is pretty flat to me, and he simply doesn't look like a boardroom executive.
Not at all.
He doesn't
He's
look
too
like
hot to be Phil Knight.
He has the broadest shoulder. Ben Affleck is only good when he is playing a guy who works standing up. That's my take.
You don't want him lounged back in a chair.
You know when he's at his best? When he's fucking Chucky, the fucking construction worker.
What is there a Tarantino movie where he has a close-up of his own feet?
Tarantino's feet?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I would guess From Dusk Till Dawn, maybe.
That's not a directed.
Yeah.
Okay, but the amount of feet in that movie would disagree.
No, it's not his feet. He is
sucking.
He is sucking on somebody else's toes.
He's
but
sucking
not
on like Salma Hayek's feet or whoever.
Because Ben Affleck directing a movie in which he shows off his own feet like he does in this movie multiple
Giving
times.
That shit away for free.
It's like, damn, son. Shit. Where's J-Lo at?
Generally, he did a solid job directing this. I'll say there are a few shots that and maybe sequences that look kind of digitally, kind of
not having Michael Jordan be a character kind of bugged me. I mean, I understand like why, because you can't cast an actor.
How the fuck do you cast Michael Jordan? It's
but
impossible.
It's like there's so many scenes where there's just a
It
guy.
cuts away as soon as it's about to go to his face. And
literally
you'll be like,
turning away from the camera, like facing the
yeah.
wall.
There's
Like,
too
what?
much. So
just this guy facing the wall.
I do agree. There's too much Michael in this movie for Michael not to be an actor.
It's
Like
so stupid.
it's tough because I feel like this was kind of a damned if you do, damned if
I
you
know
don't
they
thing.
couldn't win. Michael is one
I-
of the only athletes that was a movie star.
Yeah.
Like there's just it's hard to match.
I do disagree. Aside from that part, that I really love the way that this movie is shot. Every time that they like are in an elevator, it is like it's purposefully dynamic in a way that sometimes would bother me as like kind of over athletic filmmaking. But I think maybe it's just because of the subject matter of this movie that I was like, I kind of like the fluidity of the camera. I'm thinking specifically of the sequence where they are like kind of up doing their thing, and then they go down with our boy from Ted Lasso. What's the actor's name? Chris Messina? Is that his name?
Oh my! He's not from Ted Lasso.
What is he from? I recognize him.
He's
from
in-
something. I
He's
could not remember.
incredible
He's in the
this
Mindy
movie.
Project. I wanted to take maybe like 20 minutes to talk about the fact that he's the star of this movie, and
It's insane.
I
He
would
played
love to-
Michael Jordan's agent.
he is so good. And this type of movie, like back in the 90s, which is when this movie like should exist, vibe wise.
This guy would get nominated for an Oscar.
Well, yeah, he would, and it would be like this would be like the thing that gets him like 30
Yeah.
years of movies.
of doing roles like this.
He's
man
so
is
good. He's
Chris
unbelievable.
Messina.
Just literally in a
Oh.
room by himself. He is
On
just
the
in a
phone
room by
with,
himself on his phone.
with Damon.
That's another thing that sort of it felt more current to me is like what my mom's theory was that it was a COVID shoot, which it wasn't quite. It was shot
Yeah.
last summer.
Yeah.
In LA, so there were still restrictions, but that's not the reason behind. It's just there's so many like he is entirely in one room by himself. There's so many phone call scenes.
Right.
Like you're just like Damon at a desk. No other actors had to be present.
They didn't have Slack back then.
Well,
Yeah.
that's true. And also, you know why beyond it being a COVID thing is because this was a fast shoot. They didn't have a ton of days to shoot this little thing. So
Then had to make some money for the second
yeah,
marriage.
so there
J-Lo.
are a decent amount of scenes where it's it'll be Damon or someone acting with a body double.
Right.
And that's fine. That's just like how modern movies are shot. Bateman, I think, is phenomenal in this movie.
He's so good.
He really,
honestly,
really-
one of my best. I have like a long list right now that I've been making of my best
You're gonna
favorite
pitch him for
performances,
supporting.
favorite best supporting, and like it honestly is one of my favorite supporting
All right,
performances I've
let's
seen
go.
this year. Like
it's perfect.
it is a true supporting performance, which is one of the things that I like it. That he is fully him and Viola Davis are both in like 3 full scenes of this movie. He's in a little bit more than Viola Davis, but like both of them are just every time you see them, it's like perfect. Love the way that they are written. Love the performances that they are giving in it. I did want to give a shout out to one of the guys who I was thinking of. I was mixing him up, Chris Messina as the agent, and then Michael Maher, who plays the shoe manufacturer.
the shoe manufacturer
Yeah.
who makes the Air Jordan shoe.
You can't say that, Drew.
Why does this guy sound like that normally?
Guy from Lady Bird and Marriage Story.
Right.
Who
That's
just
a
has like
great
bit parts of
scene.
that.
The shoe
He's-
engineer guy.
Love that guy. But that's another thing where it's just like the shots are more dynamic than they need to be made, and it's just a very well crafted movie.
It is. It's really
it's very very like just attuned to what it needs to be.
really the best way to watch it for me is just as like like every actor is just giving. Aside from, I would argue, from
Ben.
Affleck, there are certain scenes.
He's fucking directing.
I know
the thing.
that's the thing is you can understand it, but there are certain scenes where he's giving nothing.
Yeah.
Where he's
He
just
has
like
to be
he's like,
in it.
this is my company. What are you doing?
I think you're not giving enough credits to the fits, which I have been on Sheen and tried to look up if I can like piecemeal his entire outfit.
try
together.
Wish. So yeah, Chris Tucker. Did we talk about him? He's fucking awesome.
He's
Great
back.
Chris Tucker,
When was the
like
last time we
really,
saw him?
really awesome Chris Tucker performance.
It was in the Jennifer Lawrence movie.
I think is it? Yeah, no, Chris Tucker is amazing. I think Marlon Wayans is awesome in it.
He only gets one scene.
That one scene is great.
And it's also it's like So script wise, the thing is watching it twice. Like if you wanted to go down a bunch of like annoying script wormholes, you could. But this is a vibe movie, so we don't need to.
Dude, the scene where they're sitting around like talking about the big meeting with the Jordans, and the camera's just circling around them as they're like planning the whole thing about how Affleck's gonna come in.
Yeah,
late.
who's gonna do it? Yeah,
I was like,
come in
let's
7
fucking
minutes
go,
late.
dude.
Yeah,
let's fucking go.
I was like, no, it felt like it was just like, man, this is more interesting than like half movies that are about like a heist or something. Like this is the planning meeting here, because a planning meeting about literally anything is interesting.
I know.
That's
Affleck
that's
does a
what
great job.
90% of Succession is.
Yeah, that's the best. That's
just
why
like
that show is
meeting
a perfect
people
show.
talking before a meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
planning a meeting. Is this movie better than The Town?
No.
Is it better than Argo?
I haven't seen it.
Yes. Well, I enjoy this movie more than Argo.
Okay.
That's the thing is it's
Argo's just bigger in scale, and Argo was like timely because it's like, it's important writing films and reporting. This movie isn't really interested in being big or important, and I think that's one of the reasons that I really love it.
It's simple.
Is that it's a movie for adults that's not trying to win awards.
Yeah.
This isn't trying to be like, oh, can we get like a best original screenplay
Right.
Oscar? Like, this is just a movie that was made. Amazon bought it for $75 million, which, buddy, it ain't making that much money. Sorry, I hate to break it to you, but good job on Benny and Maddie to get that check. Keep getting them checks.
That's a crazy check.
Is it better than BlackBerry?
No.
BlackBerry is the sleeper
So I
movie
have
of the year.
I have Air one spot behind BlackBerry in my rankings right now.
Okay.
Both of them very and same thing.
Well,
BlackBerry.
Here's my last thought on Air that might tie into BlackBerry. I haven't seen BlackBerry. I'm very excited to, but it seems like BlackBerry is not taking the easy route in a lot of ways that Air probably does.
It's trying to clear some more difficult
because Air,
obstacles. Yeah.
one thing, especially on rewatch, that you see with Air is that like it's very clearly based on a book, and they're just pulling fun little nuggets from the book.
Yeah.
And so there will be just like trivia lines where it's just like, yeah, that's how I funded this company.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, fuck, guys, come on, write something that's not just someone telling you trivia.
I mean, Air is also just a much more conventionally constructed movie. Like the way it's shot, the way the rhythm is, it's like they're clearly making it to try to appeal to the masses. BlackBerry has more of a slant. Like BlackBerry is like has a little bit more to an edge and a style to it. It's going for something different. BlackBerry wants to look and feel like a documentary. The way the camera is held, the long lenses, it's like nature photography.
I'm so excited to watch
in
this.
some scenes, or it will zoom in on someone from across the room and just capture these little moments.
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. Like that, I like BlackBerry there's more to it, more meat on the bone. But I think similar to Air, and this can kind of be the last thing talking about Air, is both of them are occupying a very well trodden ground as far as filmmaking goes. Like Air is just like a guy saw potential in another guy and was willing to do whatever it took to overcome the odds and get this guy. And
the right people.
You know exactly where it's going. BlackBerry is kind of the same thing on the bones. You're like, I'm watching a company. We all know what BlackBerry is. We know that this phone that we have right now, it's not a BlackBerry. Obviously, it didn't go great for him.
Yeah.
So you know that you're going to see the rise and the fall. Like from the outside in, you can probably guess what the plot of BlackBerry is. But you are right that I think that one of the things that makes BlackBerry special is that it has teeth.
Yeah.
It is willing to
It's kind of ferocious a little bit.
it's willing to get dirty. It's willing to get mean. And I think a lot of that is because
Our boy.
this is the first time ever outside of Always Sunny in Philadelphia that somebody has known how to deploy Glenn Howerton in their film. And Glenn Howerton in this movie is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
He is so good.
It's insane.
He is evil in a way that like it's not playing games. It's not trying to be of like, oh, maybe he actually has like a sensitive side underneath, and like
this guy's
we
darkness.
just need to uncover the layers.
He's venom.
He is somebody that from the get-go you're like, there's malice in this man and he's willing to do whatever it takes to claw his way to the top, no matter who he has to step on and who he has to like burn alive to get there. And that's what he is there for. And counteracting that is our favorite little quiet boy,
Jay Baruchel.
I don't know, possibly the best performance that Jay Baruchel has ever given.
Certainly the most wig he's ever worn. The wigs in this movie are out of control.
Okay, the wigs are bad. And the bald cap on Glenn Howerton is actually pretty bad too.
Yes, but
in certain scenes.
There's a wig that the second wig that Jay Baruchel wears, the slicked back
white hair.
That when I saw that wig, I was like, okay, they know the wigs are bad and they're leaning into it. And so now all the wigs are actually good. Because they know exactly what they're doing.
You are right. That second wig is the most insane wig I've ever seen in my life. That was like, what are we doing here right now?
Like the balls to shoot the movie wearing that thing is insane. This is low key like the movie of the year. There's one that we can mention right before we wrap up that I think beats it. And obviously our beloved Bo and our beloved Spidey. But this is like, more people need to be talking about this. I'm going to be flying the BlackBerry flag all year long. I'm going to be out here. I'm going to be hitting the streets. I'm going to be on the picket line, just singing the praises of BlackBerry, because there's a lot to dig into here. I think every aspect of it meshes together perfectly. It's just one of those where it all works. Every aspect of it, the writing, the directing, the performances, the cinematography, the music, like everything, it all works so well. I was very impressed with it. I
like this was kind of a movie that I was completely taken aback by, because I knew that you saw it and that you liked it, and that another one of our friends liked it, but I don't know. I didn't, at least from going into it, get the vibe of this movie being as good as it was going to be. And so I kind of just saw it on a whim. Glad I saw it when I did in a theater, because this movie didn't make a lot of money, so it kind of just came and went from theaters. Release, and I didn't really know anything about it. I haven't seen any of Matt Johnson's other films, and I didn't realize while watching this movie that he is basically third billing in the cast.
So crazy.
And he's great in the movie too. Like, he is giving a really, really fun supporting performance as like the fun guy who can see his neurodivergent friend is just getting manipulated and taken advantage of.
The guy who really loves to goof off and play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and doesn't want to run a company.
Yeah, he is. I think he's great. But this is a movie that made me, I want to go back and I want to watch all of Matt Johnson's films now, because I love the way that he shoots this. I love the pacing of this movie. It is just it hums and it builds.
It has like these moments of just kind of like, it crescendos.
It's made by a guy who, like, he understands the flow of movies, if that makes sense. Like, it is, I kind of said that you know where this movie is going, and you do, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that that's actually
knows that you know, and it leans into it.
Yeah, it really does lean into the biopickiness of it.
It's the full story of the company. You see how the company starts and you see how the company ends, and I think they do an incredible job of telling that story.
I really love it. This is also, I agree. I have a clear top 4 now, and this is in it.
So let's get to that other part of the top 4 before we close out. Yeah. We're going to recommend Past Lives, the new A24. We're not going to get super into it because it's still rolling out.
Yeah, super limited release right now.
But we did see it. It's a beautiful love story. I want to see more love stories. I want to see more tender, romantic stories that don't feel the need to like undercut themselves or have like comedic beats. That's all fine. We need the rom-com too, but you don't really see movies like this. This gave me a lot of like Before Sunset, Before Sunrise kind of vibes. It's like the flip side of those Linklater movies, where it kind of just sees a different path that a couple like that might take. And again, like BlackBerry, it's a movie that everything meshes together really well. All the aspects, the writing, the directing, the performances, everything is just really well done. We just saw it like last night, so I'm still kind of mulling it over. But I think it's going to stick with me a lot throughout the year. And I think that Greta Lee, the main actress, I think she should be up for awards.
Yes.
Really, really special movie. It's. I hope it doesn't get kind of forgotten through as the year goes on. I hope it builds and more people see it.
This movie is kind of like it floored me a little in the theater as we watched it, and
It's kind of devastating.
as like just all day today, I've been kind of mulling this movie around in my head. I just kind of off the top, I think this is the best crafted movie I've seen this year.
It's a debut too.
Dude, Celine's
It's
song,
crazy.
the way that she shoots New York City, somehow she found a way to just like shoot New York in a way I've never seen New York.
35 millimeter film.
It
looks
you
stunning.
you can like it's. I want to know the camera itself that she actually shot on, because you can feel the texture to this movie.
Yeah.
It plays like a memory in a lot of ways. Like it plays like when you're thinking back on something. Sometimes it can be a little bit a little bit hazy, a little bit fuzzy as your kind of recollection goes of these memories that you're experiencing, and that texture comes across in the film. I think the way that it is lit is gorgeous. The score, I cannot wait for the score. I was trying to look up right now who actually did.
Lot of like wind chimes and piano.
Christopher Bear and Danielle Rosen, who I'm not sure if I have seen. Yeah, no, never like heard any of their work before. But like the score is so beautiful. I think it's amazing. This is the first movie I've seen this year that feels like it could be nominated for awards. That feels like a true awards contender.
Yeah, let's do Best Picture. Let's do Best Original.
I don't want to get into
Best
like
director.
spoilers or anything like that, because this is still a slow release. I don't know if this movie has the chance of something like a Coda, which was the last big Sundance hit, which actually won Best Picture. I don't know if this has exactly that same kind of universality
We'll see.
of feel good story that we all want to see. But this is like a really, really beautiful immigrant story. And one of the things that's kind of really stuck with me about this movie is both its universality and its singularity. It is something that this, just to give very, very general plot beats of what this movie is. This is a story of a woman. She changes her name to Nora, but I can't remember what her Korean born name is. Nayang or something like that. I can't remember, but she. At the age of 12, her family immigrates from South Korea to Toronto and eventually New York City. And whenever she moves at 12, she has this boy that she has a crush on, Hae-sung, who they separate, don't speak to each other for 8 years. And then eventually more time passes. I think it's another 12 years or so. And it's
like
about their times.
Yeah.
It's about their connections with each other over the years. So taking this kind of story of like reminiscing on your first crushes and your first loves and thinking back to these memories that you have of walking home with somebody who you have a crush on early on, there's all these kind of these plot beats that are very universal, that like brought back a lot of memories of myself, of like being young, that feeling of young love.
Yeah.
But it has the twist of this immigrant story that makes it so singular. It makes it so unique. And as time goes on, you can kind of see how the American side of things and the Korean side of things just kind of, they branch apart in such drastic and such interesting ways that it's a really, really, really beautiful movie. And I cannot recommend this enough. I cannot wait for this movie to come out so that I can see this again, because I really loved it.
No, I totally agree. I think, there's some heartbreaking kind of gut punch, really kind of take your breath away scenes in this movie, and it's like just two people talking to each
Yeah,
other.
it's
So
there's one
love it.
particular scene towards the end of the film that we both talked about right afterwards. That was just like, oh my god, that's gonna be like one of the scenes of the year, man. Like I can't imagine that
really
getting
good.
bit. One quick shout out to our guy John Magaro.
yeah,
First
first cow, love
Really
him.
great in this movie.
Yeah.
Really love him.
All right, that's Past Lives, and that's everything we got going on this week. For Ketchup, stick around for the rest of the summertime with Indiana Jones, Oppenheimer, Barbie, Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. As we gear up for our next series, the films of Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks.
Tom and Tom.
Taking the summer, taking the break to chill, watch some stuff, catch up on some stuff. So hope you enjoyed this roundup of film and TV.
I'm so proud of us for how diverse we're being with this Tom and Tom series.
I know, dude. We're
One-
really doing the work.
One curly haired guy and one gay guy.
One short.
One really short guy, one kind of short guy.
Hanks is tall, right?
Is he?
I
don't
can't.
know.
So that one photo that
With
you sent
Arnold?
us with Arnold is so misleading because it makes it look like all three of them are the same height.
They're not.
And Arnold is like
They're all
6'2".
wildly-
6 flat, Tommy Hanks.
Tom Hanks
Okay,
is
that's
6'5".
tall.
That's a Hollywood 6'5".
we
Okay,
Think, so do we think he's actually 5'10" though?
No, I believe it. If you see him in his movies, like he seems like he's got some height on, motherfucker.
But also everybody else in Hollywood is like
I know.
5'2".
So we're-
but like it's too like he looks like gawky in some movies, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, they wouldn't want him.
I'm just glad that me and Tom Cruise are the same height. So if I ever see him in real life, I can just give him
Yeah.
a smooch. I don't have to.
Smack.
I don't have to squat. I don't have to
We're,
get my tippy toes.
We're
It's right
excited
there.
for our next series. It's still a couple months away, but as we get closer, I think we can gear up for it a little bit more. Maybe do a little prep episode to kind of set the stage a little bit. We still got time. We're chilling. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Please rate, review, subscribe, like, and comment. Let us know your thoughts. Check out weboughtamic.net. Get every episode in your inbox. Join the Discord. Donate. Thank you, beautiful donors, for donating. I think next week, so Indiana Jones comes out, but I think we're going to give you Barry and Succession.
Listen,
So you can look
I'm not
forward-
watching that fucking movie.
Oh my God.
I
You guys don't want to
like,
dial
please
into Destiny
stop.
with me?
Ernie,
Bro.
you keep signing me up to go see this movie with you, and I'm
We could have done
I'm
a
having
whole
a hard time being
episode on
motivated.
Air.
Yeah.
I'm not watching that fucking
We
movie.
can talk more about Air.
I can
There's more
do a part
air.
2 on Air.
Yeah. The air. There's more air to go around.
I could just do a whole episode on how Jokic is like my 3rd favorite player of all time now. We can just do literally anything else.
Maybe a little mid-year check-in. You know, talk some music, talk some albums.
You know whose favorite movie is Air? Is Jordan Sparks and Chris Brown. They can't breathe with no air.
Oh God.
Tell me how I'm supposed to breathe no air.
Bye.
Bye. Go Nuggets.